After reminding us that a lack of biblical fear will lead to a spiritual fall, he then gives us the encouragement. He says, "But recall the former days when after you were enlightened, you endured a hard struggle with suffering, sometimes being publicly exposed to reproach and affliction, and sometimes being partners with those who were also so treated. For you had compassion on those in prison, and you joyfully accepted the plundering of your property, since you knew that you yourselves had a better possession and an abiding possession." He says, listen, you hear the warning? Now let me just remind you, remember your old days and your old ways. Remember when you first claimed to be the we. Remember when you had a passion for Jesus. Remember then and be then again. And if you say, no, that was for back then the warning is you might be an adversary of God. And his fury and fire may be the only thing that you should expect in the midst of judgment. You say, now, Pastor, why you got to talk like that? Because I'm committed to reading to you the Word of God. And that is what he says. And this is not a message going out to the street corners. This is not an inner city message. This is a church message. This is to the people who claim to be Christians, saying, watch out, hold on, because you're drifting away. You're disconnecting. You're flat out disobeying and calling it okay. You're rationalizing away your sin. Wake up, watch out, and hold on. That's what is here. He goes on, therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, when you have faithfully obeyed, and notice here now he's gone from assuming he's speaking to the lost to now coming back saying, listen, if you're in the family, you need to endure. You need perseverance. Come on, remember the promised reward that you claim to expect. At least you used to. Remember that. Come on back, so that you will receive this when you have done the will of God. I love this because it calls into effect the role of faithful obedience. What is required of you as a Christian? For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you need to endure and you need to obey. How? By his grace and out of the love of your heart, so that you will receive what is promised. He goes on, for yet a little while, just a little while, and the coming one will come and will not delay. So here's the crescendo. Jesus is coming. You better be ready. You want to know why I close my correspondence with be ready? It's because Jesus is coming. He's coming soon. Relatively speaking, he's coming real soon. For yet a little while, and the coming one will come and will not delay. But my righteous will live by faith. He's coming soon, and the righteous, the real children of God, they're going to live by faith. And if he shrinks back, so if the one who claims to be a Christian shrinks back, now how do you shrink back? You continue in your sin deliberately. You continue to drift, dilly-dally, disconnect, disobey. And in so doing, you are shrinking back, which we saw has some major ramifications. Here's one of them. But if you shrink back, my soul has no pleasure in you. Now, does God have no pleasure in his children? Of course not. He died for the pleasure of putting his Spirit in us. He takes great pleasure in his family. Again, this is evidence of the fact that we're talking about two different groups of people. The we here are perhaps the Christians and perhaps the lost counterfeits. Well, which one is it, Pastor? The answer is yes. The ones that he ultimately takes no pleasure in and who will be destroyed, well, those were the counterfeits. And we probably won't know who they are until we get into eternity. But make no mistake, they're being addressed. And who are the true brothers and sisters in the Lord? Well, we think we know, but let me tell you, I've been shocked by many along the way. Shocked. You say, well, what exactly are you saying there, Pastor? I think you know what I'm saying. There's a guy named Demas in the Bible. Paul speaks of him highly in one area, says he's a great co-worker, and later says he's gone. He's got pulled away by the issues and the worries and the trappings of the world. You say, well, Demas, yeah, I get it. Well, how about this guy Judas? You see, the church is filled with people that look like Jesus, live like Jesus, love like Jesus. But there are also those like Judas who are playing a game, who back in John 6, Jesus said was a devil, just very well disguised. And time will tell. So I said to you last week, those that are playing with God and thinking that it's okay to do these perverted, twisted things, all in the polished name of religion, they're messing with the very wrath of God. They are messing with the very wrath of God. Hence this warning. What you and I do and which side of the fence we land, it has an awful lot to do and will be revealed by how we really walk with the King. And that's why we at the Bridge are committed to truth and love. That's it, truth and love. We ask you, what do you want? Come and see. Test yourself. Say, well, those are two dirty words. No, they're not. That's 2 Corinthians 13:5. We want to encourage you. Come and see truth and love. Test yourself. And you know what? Time will tell. Time will tell.